Welcome to the Kim Pagano Show. And of course, I'm so glad that you are here. And we have one of our sponsors that have been with me for a long time, and he does so many things in our community. And let's bring Norman Thatcher on, CEO and, of course, facilitator of TNT Anger Management, located in Westlake. And not only that, you do a lot of stuff that's virtual, so people can be in the comforts of their own home, but yet learn more about anger management, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks me having me for having me, Kim. It's always a pleasure to speak with you and your audience, and I'm looking forward to this.
Good. So talk to me a little bit about, I know that you wanted to talk about some of the events. I've actually been watching football. Of course, it is football time right now. And that becomes really, people get stressed and get competitive, and you see
Yeah.
some things happen in the audience that you just go, oh my gosh, we used to be able to bring our families and our kids, and we still want to do that, but it's gotten a little scary. So, talk to us a little bit. But before we do that, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and, of course, your practice.
Sure. My name is Norman Thatcher. I opened up my practice of TNT Anger Management Services about 16 years ago. I've been in Westlake Village at two separate offices, but for this last office, it's been about 8 years now, and I'm at 31356 Via Colina, Suite 114 in Westlake Village.
Good. Okay. And so you see adolescents, you see seniors, you see anybody that has anger management or needs anger management, or couples, right? I mean, we're living in a very, very stressful time.
Yeah, my target age range is basically from 14 years old to 75, because stress and anger, it affects everybody from all age groups. So we'll go over some of those specifics of what I have to present today, and hopefully help some people out with just some general knowledge, what they never would have thought of, as we're in the middle of the football playoffs right now.
Okay, well, let's dive in, Norman. So talk to us.
Okay, so this is a topic I've really been wanting to talk about for the last couple months, but other things have been happening. So with the Super Bowl coming up in like 3 weeks, and the playoffs are right in the middle of mode for football, perfect timing, I think, for this to bring up the incidents of sporting events, the violence and stress at sporting events. So um, with specific incidents, I'm going to give a very brief history. I won't go into too much detail, but there's about 7 incidents at the major four sporting events that I wanted to bring up between football, hockey, baseball, and basketball. The first one was back in 2000 of 2023, between the Patriots and the Dolphins. They were at a game, obviously playing, and there was I don't know if people, read the articles after the games, but there was a fan who actually grabbed another fan. This is per witness testimony. Um, and then another fan jumped in and hit the guy pretty brutally. Within 2 days, he was hospitalized and ended up passing away. That was one scenario. For sports fans that go back a little bit farther than that, there was a baseball event back in uh, April of 2011 between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, and a San Francisco fan. His name is Brian Stowe, and he's a 42-year-old San Francisco Giants fan. And who knows what happened out in the bleachers, but he ended up getting attacked, and had a traumatic brain injury from this event from Dodger fans. And that was a big eye catcher of what happens at these events. I personally have a personal involvement with 2 incidents at baseball events. My cousin and I used to go to every Dodger home opener we had a streak of going 11 years, from like
Wow.
2014 to 2004 to 2015. we actually stopped going because the one opener I went to, we didn't even make it to the area of where the seats are, and there were two guys fighting. This guy was one kicking one guy in the head. There was blood all over the place. I said this just is too much. So we went one more year. Same event happened, and then I stopped going.
I'm sorry.
So
I know a
yeah,
lot of people that that's their kind of like their hobby, right? Of going around
it
and
is.
yeah. So I'm sorry that that happened. Yeah. No, this is a good topic to be bringing to the table, and I'm sure a lot of sports fans are getting concerned about it.
Yeah, and it's not just adults. There was, in basketball, there was, I don't know for the viewers out there, but there was a event called the Malice in the Palace. And this is in Detroit, Michigan, between the Pacers, the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons. This was about 10, probably about 12, 13 years ago. And it all started with the player hit another player. It was then a foul. And then one of the players ended up going into the stands. His name is Ron Artest at the time. He's now changed to Meta World Peace of all things is his name. He played for the Lakers. He ended up fighting with fans, and it was just a major event. So if you're a basketball fan, you would know what I'm talking about. Um, and then just in hockey, which is my favorite sport, the old saying of hockey is, "Hey, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out." So
Right.
hockey
That's like
has
a duh, right? Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's just the one thing I did want to bring up about the baseball situation. There was also another event back in Tennessee. This was a high school game where two teams from Tennessee were actually competing for the Division A championship. Um, the guy, got hit by the ball with the pitch, and both teams, they run out on the field, start beating up each other. And at the end of the day, basically one team was fined, the other team was on probation for a few years, and they can't compete in league competition for several years. And that's just the content. And there's literally hundreds more of the events. It's a historical thing that goes back hundreds of years. So this is nothing new. But what I'm trying to educate people on is why do we think it happens and what can we do about it? And do we want to do anything about it?
So why do you think it happens? Let's start there.
Well, I think it starts for two major reasons. Obviously, I think alcohol has a major play in it. When you get people, what we call on their liquid strength of their liquid motivation of just, having drinks, they do things they probably wouldn't do before. Um, so there's actually a couple terms as I was researching these areas. One was called spectator aggression, which I didn't know that existed. But okay, now when you put it in that format, that's one of them. Um, and then there's another one called um, hula, hula, hooliganism. And
Okay.
basically, what that means is like when you see these college football games or college basketball games, and your team just wins and they storm the court, it looks exciting, it looks fun, but in actuality, people get hurt. People have been stompled on those just rushing the court and those things. So the 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 reason why these things happen is people they take their identity of their self and they put it into these teams like I am a Los Angeles Kings fan and I'm taking it to heart. And so when another team comes in, they're quote the enemy already, not knowing anybody on the players, not knowing that their family might be sitting right next to you. And I
Mhm.
kind of wanted to add a little piece yesterday. Even Taylor Swift yesterday at the
I watched that game actually. Yeah.
she got booed. As famous as she is, she got booed because she's Travis Kelce's girlfriend, and Buffalo doesn't care. This is the Buffalo Bills stadium. This is our team, and we don't care who you are.
I even heard
We
that,
don't like you.
right. And I even heard that when all the guys got into the locker rooms, they turned the hot water off. So all the kids just had to
Oh,
take cold water, cold
yeah.
showers. So it is. It's like, and there was a time where they were both there and I'm like, "Oh my God, are they going to get into it?" And of course, are they disciplined by that? I mean, they would be benched, correct?
So that's where our kind of our one of our pieces of the piece of evaluating, do we still want this to happen again? Obviously, player safety, fan safety is obviously the number one thing. So when they're at games, they have security there, they have law enforcement there. Um, and people have been penalized and put in jail for these actions that they probably wouldn't do at home on a Tuesday afternoon. But because they're so involved and take their team so personally, their behavior is just so erratic. They're just that's that's the the I guess the aggression that comes out in these events, that between alcohol and the pride of their team, they're just gonna protect their pride in their team and just do things that they normally wouldn't do. So the two things I also wanted to bring up is, that's kind of why they do it. Now, will they continue to do it? Most likely, because again, so here's a little bit of just general research for these major events, the NFL, the NHL. Football right now has a net worth of about 91 billion. That's with the billion dollars. Okay. Um, Baseball is about 66 billion. Basketball is 90 billion. These are with the B's. And hockey, they came in at 32 billion. So are they going to stop this? No.
Never. Yeah.
There is one story that I did want to share. So, being in marketing, I believe it was the St. Louis Cardinals. They are the homeowners of Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis, Missouri. So they're their sponsor is alcohol,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they had this brilliant idea to have 10-cent beer night. I don't remember the exact date, but I was reading the article and they said, okay, we're going to have 10-cent beers. And so what do you think between 70,000 people and 10-cent beers is going to bring?
A lot of ruckus.
There was a
Yeah.
lot of violence and a
Yeah.
lot. It wasn't just drunk people, it was violence. Somehow people got into the sporting equipment and got bats out and were just beating people up. So obviously the good point is some people did use some common sense and stop the 10-cent beer marketing night. So that's never happened again.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
So, but you know what? I mean, I remember you had sent me something about a man that his wife didn't eat his pancakes, okay? And he killed her, right? Wasn't that, or was it the other way around? I forget which one with
No,
her.
it was there was a show we were talking about, and just some of the simplest events between couples that take place. Um the poor wife didn't cook the man's pancakes right. He
Right.
got mad, and
And
I
killed her.
believe he picked something up and hit her with it, and she ended up being hospitalized and eventually died. So, I mean, we're
So
talking about
what
cooking some pancakes.
I
So,
know. Yeah. I mean, where does it stop and how do we control our anger and our, and just take a moment to really pause, right? To pause. I mean, you're driving home from work, you've got somewhere to be, maybe you're late for your kids, or maybe you have a dinner date, I don't know, and somebody cuts you off. Does it stop there, or, somebody, it's like, where do you just say, I'm just going to give that person grace and I'm not going to get hurt and I'm going to get home safely? How does that work?
well, two things. One of the shows that I did, when I first started meeting with you was on road rage, and one thing I learned also that nationwide and California specifically admitted most drivers on highways, 7% of them admit that they carry either concealed contraband, whether it's knife, nunchucks, glass bottles, you know so you never know what the other person has, and it's
Why
just
take a chance,
so
right?
I'm sorry.
Why take a chance?
Yeah, why take a chance?
Right.
So the two indicators of how to control or stop it would be, our human body tells us when we are enraged or when we are frustrated out of our normal element of emotional intelligence, our heart rhythm starts to pound, our pulse starts to go up. We can tell ourselves we're getting fixated, we're now slamming on steering wheels. Those are all signs of self indicators to say, hey, this isn't my normal routine, this isn't how I normally act. So even today, coming from home today, it took me an extra 10 minutes to get home because of the rain, and Californians aren't used to rain, so it hits home with everybody. um, and also, if you're driving with somebody, I've had multiple people now. I'm really starting to focus on my sessions with my clients. Is people are driving with their wives and their husbands, saying, "I don't like driving with my spouse. He has road rage, and it scares me."
Right,
And now it's not just the individual; it's family members are telling you, like, Kim, slow down. Okay, yes, you missed a turnoff. It's going to be okay. We'll get back to it.
right,
But so you have your self indicators and you have your people around you telling you, hey, slow down. We'll get there. If we have to turn around, we'll turn around. We'll get there safe and in one piece. And my suggestion and my classes help people just kind of look at the big picture of, I know we're all in a rush, we're all working hard, but we all want to get home safe and back to our loved ones that night. And with some of these events, people don't, and it's just really sad. It's
really
reality.
sad. Norman, first of all, thank you for bringing this to our attention and to really talk to us about, what's going on in the world. But how do people find you? How do they find, how to work with you? And tell us about that.
Well, my phone number is area code 818-264-6255. My website is www.tntams.com. And my email address is norm, at tntams.com.
Okay, perfect. And for people to make an appointment with you, what does that look like? Is it a one and done? Is it, like a series? Talk to us about that.
Once they get a hold of me, either through a phone call or the internet or an email, we'll set up a consultation that is at no charge, as a one-time free charge. And then we kind of base after that how many times we would meet, kind of work on specifically what you're working for, what your family is working for, what the two of you might be working as a couple. If it's court mandated, they will specifically tell the number of days or hours that you need to be mandated. If it's voluntary, uh, on the average, most length of treatments are probably about 10 to 15 weeks, but people go way long faster than that if they feel they're getting the support and the education they need. And we go from there.
There you go. I love it. Such good stuff. And again, give out your phone number one more time.
Okay. I'm in area code 818-264-6255.
All right. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Norman. And
Thank you,
thank you
Kim.
again for being a part of our show.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Okay. Be safe.
Bye bye, you too.